Good evening, opera fans, and welcome to Opera on Tap, Houston's very first show of 2021, New Year, New Voices. Tonight, we will be featuring 4 Houston area singers who are all making their Opera on Tap Houston debuts. My name is Anna Deemer, and I'm the co-managing diva of personnel and programming. I will also be your host for the evening. I will be introducing our singers and also hanging out in the Facebook live stream chat to tell you to drink when there is a high note, our informal drinking game, of course, that we play. We are once again coming to you live from our homes, so we do ask that you please be patient with us if we have any technical difficulties. We will be right back with you as soon as we can. We do have one singer, Krista Renee Papa, who has pre-recorded her selections for this evening. If this is your first time tuning in to Opera on Tap Houston, we welcome and thank you. If you don't know who we are and what we do, Opera on Tap is an international 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to bring opera to the masses. In non-COVID tide, this means we perform in non-traditional venues like coffee shops and bars, and we do opera outreach. Tonight's live stream is completely free, but we will be taking up tips and donations which help with our operating costs and to pay our musicians. So if you're feeling generous this evening, if you like what you see, we ask that you please give us a donation on PayPal or Venmo, and we will put the usernames, the links to those in the Facebook chat so that you can click on those. We also hope that you will follow us at OOT Houston on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so that you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming shows. First up this evening, we have one of my favorite mezzo arias, Svegliatevi, making sure I get all those vowels in there, Nel Core, which is from Giulio Cesare by Handel, Julius Caesar. So this opera is loosely based on the events of the Roman Civil War around 45 BC. And Caesar is in Egypt, and he's like, hey, Egyptians, I need you to kill my enemy for me. His name is Pompeo. And the Egyptians are like, okay, cool, we'll kill him for you. But unfortunately, Pompeo's son, Sesto, is like ticked off, right? Because his dad just got assassinated. And so he sings this aria to plot revenge against Julius Caesar, like normal people do when their father is assassinated. Sesto is interesting because it is a pants role, which if you are new to the opera world, this is a role that is a male figure, but is usually sung by a soprano or mezzo-soprano. And singing Svegliatevi is Karin Cecilia Phelps, who is a mezzo-soprano. And when she's not singing, Karin enjoys painting, usually with oil and acrylics, but lately she's been getting into watercolors. Let's welcome Karin Cecilia Phelps for her Opera on Tap Houston debut.
Svegliatevi del cuore fuori dall'offesa, affardo traditor, aspra vendetta. Svegliatevi del cuore fuori dall'offesa, affardo traditor, aspra vendetta. Svegliatevi del cuore fuori dall'offesa, svegliatevi del cuore fuori dall'offesa, a fare un traditor, aspra vendetta, a fare un traditor, aspra vendetta. fuori dall'alba offesa, affardo tradito, la strada è netta, svegliate, 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 viene il cuore, fuori dall'alba offesa, svegliate, viene il cuore, fuori dall'alba offesa, affardo traditor, traditor, la strada è netta, affardo traditor, affardo traditor, traditor, la strada è netta.
Yes, that was so fierce at the end. I love it. Thank you, Karin. I must admit, I have serious mezzo envy. Like when I sing, that's what it feels like in my head, is this gorgeous mezzo sound. So thank you so much for kicking off our show tonight. Next up, we have our tenor, James Chamberlain, making his debut. He will be bringing us an aria by Wagner from the Die Walküre, the Valkyries, which is the second out of 4 in the Ring cycle. If you are new to the opera world, this is the kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. This is not that piece, but that is from the same opera. This is actually from the beginning of the opera, and our hero, Siegmund, who James will be singing the role of, stumbles into an unfamiliar home while he's trying to escape some enemies. It turns out that is the home of Sieglinde, and they, of course, instantly fall in love with each other, because that also is a thing that happens in opera. And also, they are brother and sister, and so there is our Game of Thrones moment for the evening. To declare his love for Sieglinde, comparing it to the springtime, Sigmund sings this aria, which is called Winterstürme by Wagner. James, when he is not singing, enjoys hiking and cooking. Welcome, James, for his Opera on Tap Houston debut.
Stern auf wiegenden Wonnemond, in milden Licht entleuchteten Lenz, auf Linden lieften Leid und lieblich, Wunderweben herzig wieg, dort Wald und Auen weht sein Atem, weit gereget lag sein Hauch, aus selge Vöglein sang es ist ertönt, holder tiefste Haupt aus, seinen warmen Blut entblödiger, wonniger Blumen, Keim und Spross entspringt seiner Kraft, ins Waffen Silber zwingte die Welt, Wind und Sturm geht in der starken Wehe, und loset den tapferen Streik in die Sträger, höre Abweik in die trotzig und stark, und trennte von ihm. Zu seiner Schwester schwang sich viel, Schwester befreit der Bruder, das Lied, was je sie getrennt, die Aussicht grüßt sich das
Thank you so much, James, for bringing the high notes, bringing the squealo, and that tenor hair I love so much. Next up, we will have one of our pre-recorded selections from soprano Krista Renee Papa. And this piece is called Transport from Holland, which is an excerpt from the opera Out of Darkness by Jake Heggie, who is a contemporary composer. This opera is based, it's actually in 2 acts, and the first act is from an opera that he wrote in 2012 called Another Sunrise, which tells the story of Krystyna Jawolska. I think I'm saying that correctly. She is a Polish Holocaust survivor who is known because she published a memoir of her times in Auschwitz and Birkenau concentration camps. So in this particular scene, we see Krystyna later on in her life as she is trying to record her experiences, but goes through this inner turmoil of having to relive these horrible things that she had to go through. So bringing us this beautiful piece that has a dark, driving accompaniment with soaring soprano lines is Krista Renee Papa, who when she's not singing enjoys sleeping, crocheting, and reading poetry. And we also want to congratulate her for receiving an encouragement award at the District Met auditions this year. Welcome, Krista. Hope you enjoy.
What happened in Auschwitz? This is a stupid question. What words can capture those echoes? A transport arrives at 4 a.m. This one from Holland. 1,000 women, just like my own transport the year before. But now I have a position in the camp. The women must sign up for inventory, but there's chaos, confusion. They're in circles screaming, where is my mother? Where is my child? Where are we? Auschwitz! Oh tells me, Krisha, hits them in line, no, beats them, Krisha, hits them to mind you, do it, Krisha, do your job now, go back to the fields and die there with your poems. I cannot move or breathe. The women look at me, eyes wide, desperate. I look away until this says, what will it be, Krisha? You are there. And I feel my arm rise, feel my fist grow strong.
Wow. Thank you, Krista, for that moving performance, which also featured Andrea Mutt on the piano. You might recognize Andrea because she is a regular feature of our Opera on Tap shows. Coming up next, we have a piece called The Poison Aria from Romeo and Juliet by Gounod. This is Gounod's last successful opera. He wrote it in 1867, and it's probably his second top hit, the first being his setting of the Faust story. And I think most of you had to read or watch Romeo and Juliet in high school, maybe that movie version with Leonardo DiCaprio. So you probably know the story, but in the Poison Aria in particular, this is at the end of the play, of the opera, where Juliet is in love with Romeo. She wants to marry Romeo, but her parents want her to marry, I think he's a count. I don't know, I'm glad we don't have counts and dukes and stuff anymore. That stuff confuses me. But anyway, this guy that she doesn't want to marry, so Juliet is like, okay, I'm going to take this potion, and it is going to knock me out and make me seem like I'm dead for long enough for me to get out of this marriage that I don't want, and then I'll be able to marry Romeo. So she takes the drug and then is like, uh-oh, what if it's too strong and I end up dying? Or what if I haven't taken enough and then I'm gonna have to marry this guy anyway? So she sings this aria to steel herself, and eventually decides that she's going to be strong and she's not going to yield either to her family or to her fear. Obviously, we know that this is another story that does not end well, but this is right before that. We'll enjoy some high notes first. So we are welcoming soprano Samantha Long for her Opera on Tap Houston debut. When she's not singing, Sam enjoys reading, painting, drinking wine, and binge watching Law and Order SVU. We need like the sound effect of that dun dun kind of sound. So we will welcome Samantha Long singing the Poison Aria from Romeo and Juliet.
Dieu, quel frisson court dans mes veines. Si sauvage était sa beauvoir. Crête vaine, je n'appartiendrai pas au code, malgré moi, non, non. Ce poignard sera gardien de ma foi. Viens, viens. Amour, redis mon courage, et de nos cœurs chasse l'effroi. Hésiter, ça te faire outrage. Promets un manque de foi. Toi-même ce breuvage. Verse toi-même ce breuvage. Verse ce breuvage. Ornamio, je pense à toi. Mais si de ma bouteille dans ce caveau funèbre, je m'éveillais à son retour, Dieu puissant, cette pensée horrible a glacé tout mon sang. Que deviendrais-je en ces ténèbres? dans ce séjour de mort et de gémissement. Où les siècles passés ont rempli l'ossements, où Tybalt, tout signal d'abord de sa blessure, ridoir dans le riosquille, dormira Dieu. Maman rencontrera sa main. Que les épaules et le mort échappé. C'est Tybalt. Je m'appelle, il m'aide, mon chemin, m'écarter mon épaule, il s'en est arrivé. Disparaissez. Ici pour toi, il ne sera. Ici pour toi, il ne sera. Chasse les froids, hésiter seul à faire outrage. Cada fois, toi-même ce breuvage. Toi-même ce
Thank you, Samantha, and welcome to the High Note Party. Woohoo! Next up, we have another mezzo-soprano top hit aria. This one is Va. It has a longer title, Va, Laisse couler mes larmes, but everybody just calls it Va, which is from the opera Werther by Massenet. And we're bringing back Karin Cecilia Phelps to sing this aria. So in Werther, Charlotte, who is the character that Karin is playing, is engaged to a gentleman named Albert, but Werther comes along, and he's a poet, because of course poets are always meddling and getting their hands in things, and falls in love with Charlotte anyway, even though she's already betrothed. There's nothing he can do. Charlotte and Albert get married because it was Charlotte's mother's last wish before she passed away. But a few months after the wedding, Charlotte starts to regret marrying Albert and realizes that she is still in love with Werther, and she's reading over some old letters that he had written her and has this breakdown where she confesses her sadness that she is in fact not married to Werther. Spoiler alert, this is another opera where the story does not end well, but we're rewinding a little bit to about midway through the opera. Bringing us this gorgeous lament, Va, is mezzo-soprano Karin Cecilia Phelps. Thank you, Karin. Next up, we're welcoming back James with a tenor top hit. It's just an evening full of top hits. That is part of our mission at Opera on Tap, is to bring you stuff that you would see if you actually went and saw an opera in person. This next aria is Donna non vidi ma from Manon Lescaut by Puccini. And basically what's going on in this aria is this character, the tenor, Des Grieux, sees Manon and is like, dang, she's pretty. She's the most beautiful gal I've ever seen. But like in Italian, and so he sings this aria about that. But I have to summarize this opera because it's kind of nuts. So the reason he sees Manon is because her father and brother are taking her to go be in a convent, and Des Grieux and his pals are like, no, she's too beautiful. She would be wasted on a convent. So Des Grieux meets her and they have a romantic tryst. But then when Des Grieux runs out of money, Manon is like, sorry, not interested. And so she runs off with the bass named Geronte. But then later on realizes that she still has feelings for Des Grieux, as generally is what happens with tenors in opera. But Geronte is like, I'm not so sure about that. So he has her falsely arrested for stealing jewels that she did not actually steal. And so she is going to be deported to Louisiana. They're in France, mind you. So she's getting on a ship, being sent to Louisiana. Somehow Des Grieux talks his way onto getting onto the ship. They somehow escape in New Orleans, and then they have to make their way through the desert after they escape. I don't think Puccini had a very good understanding of the geography of Louisiana, but we'll take it for the sake of the drama. Unfortunately, it seems to be a theme of the evening. This is another opera that doesn't end well. Manon does not make it through the desert because she's a delicate flower, and she dies at the end of the opera. But we are going to rewind all the way back to the beginning of this opera for the first time that Des Grieux lays eyes on Manon. So get your drinks ready for some tenor high notes and this rich, juicy Puccini orchestration. We'll welcome back tenor James Chamberlain. Cheers.
Simile a questa
Thank you, James. If I heard singing like that, I would follow you too. So thank you for that gorgeous aria. I am going to plug our donation box again, aka PayPal and Venmo. If you like what you see tonight, please, if you're feeling generous, you may give us a donation on PayPal or Venmo. This helps us pay for our operating costs and helps us to pay our musicians. So one of my colleagues is posting those links in the chat. I think it's at Opera on Tap. Donations will get sent through our national chapter through Ann Hyatt. So if it says Ann Hyatt, that's the person that we're looking for. So thank you in advance for your generosity. Next up, we have our one piece that is from a musical, and it is called With You, from the musical Ghost by Bruce Joel Rubin, which is based on the 1990 movie of the same name. And With You is sung by the character of Molly, whose lover Sam has been shot and killed during a mugging on the streets of New York City. He becomes a ghost, as per the title of the musical, and comes back and is trying to warn Molly of the dangers to her life via a very sketchy medium. But before he is able to do that, after he passes away, Molly is grieving him, and she sings this powerful and emotional ballad about how much she misses him. So we will welcome back soprano Krista Renee Papa to sing With You.
I picked up your shirts this morning. I don't know why. I don't know why. Mr. Reynolds said to say hello. I started to cry. I started to cry. Every place we ever walked and everywhere we talked, I miss you. You never leave my mind. So much of you is left behind. Took my days with you. Took my nights with you. Those unfinished conversations we used to have still speak to me, and I write you letters every day that I'll never send and you'll never see. All this wishful thinking gets me nowhere. I can't stay. Though my heart is broken, it keeps breaking every day. You took my hopes with you. Took my dreams with you. with you.
Yes to Krista, yes to style, yes to drama, yes to bringing that straight tone and that dramatic like hair flop at the end. Oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Next up, we have our second aria of the evening by living composer Jake Heggie. This is from another one of his operas called Dead Man Walking. You might recognize the title because this opera is based on the movie, which is based on the book, which was written by a Louisiana nun named Sister Helen, who served as a spiritual advisor to a couple of convicted murderers in the 70s or 80s, I believe, and she, to this day, is a leading advocate for abolition of the death penalty. So she sings this journey near the beginning of the opera. She has just found out that she is going to indeed be the spiritual advisor for the fictional inmate Joseph DeRoche, and these are the thoughts that she has, the very conflicted thoughts about serving and being a conduit between the inmate and God. It's another deep one, y'all. Hang in there. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I love me some Jake Heggie. We will be welcoming back mezzo-soprano Karen Cecilia Phelps for her last piece of the evening, and we would also like to wish her toi 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 next weekend as she competes in the next round of the Met Opera auditions.
This journey to Christ, this journey to my God, this journey to myself, to my Jesus, to this man, this journey to the truth. This journey, I'm going to die, he writes me. I haven't a chance. Does he want me to live to die? Is he afraid of death? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Death, maybe. And what else I want to know? This journey to Jesus. To my Joseph DeRoche, 95281. Death, his death. My own. Help me, dearest Jesus. Make me strong. Make me wise. Make me human.
Thank you, Karin, and congratulations on your OOT Houston debut. Next up, we are welcoming back Krista for her final piece, Der Höhle Rache, also known as the Queen of the Night aria. Even if you are new to the opera world, you have probably heard this somewhere. It's the one with all of the high notes jumping around. I'm not going to model that right now because you are about to hear it in this lovely recording. What is going on in the opera, The Magic Flute? At this moment, the Queen of the Night is telling her daughter, Pamina, you better go kill Zarastro or else I will disown you. Slightly terrifying, very exciting, many high notes. Get your beverages ready for the Queen of the Night aria sung by Krista Renee Papa.
Kocht in meinem Herzen Tod und Verzweiflung Tod, Verzweiflung und mich hin fühlt nicht durch dich so läufst du ohne Schmerze so läufst du ohne Schmerze so bist du durch die
Yes, like literally yes, Queen. I love it so much. It is a top hit for a reason because it is exciting and fantastic. Thank you, Krista, for making your Opera on Tap Houston debut. Coming up next for his final piece of the evening, we're welcoming back tenor James Chamberlain, who will be singing the piece Vesti la Giubbia from I Pagliacci by Leoncavallo. And you may recognize the title of the opera, Pagliacci, as the trope of the sad clown who is smiling on the outside but has tragedy on the inside. And this opera exemplifies that because this character, Canio, has just found out that his wife, who is also a clown, a person in their theater troupe, has been unfaithful to him. But the show must go on. Vesti la Giubbia, put on the costume. So in this aria, he has just found out that his wife has cheated on him, but he still has to put on the costume, has to put on that smile, paint on that smile, and keep the show going. Unfortunately, this is another one that doesn't end quite so well because while they are both acting on stage in Act 2 of this opera, the audience just thinks it's really great and fantastic acting, but he actually stabs and murders his wife for cheating on him. So, just typical opera tropes, but this aria comes at the end of Act 1 and is absolutely heartbreaking and gorgeous, welcoming back tenor James Chamberlain singing Vesti la Giubbia.
Recitar mentre preso dal delirio non so più quel che dico e quel che faccio e dopo sforzati sei tu forse un tu sei pagliaccio vesti la giubba e la faccia in farina la gente paga e ride vuole qua e se Arlecchino invola Colombina ridi pagliaccio e ognuno applauderà tramuto in lati lo spasmo ed il pianto e ora suave al singhiozzo e dolor pagliaccio sul tuo amore infranto ridi nel duol che te velena il cor.
Thank you so much, James, and congratulations on your Opera on Tap Houston debut. We have been, oh, you can see my partner in the mirror there. Say hi. The perks of live streaming from home. We have heard a lot of numbers this evening from tragedies in opera, but we are going to end on a high note, both comedically, operatically, and literally high notes, because we are welcoming back soprano Samantha Long. She will be singing the aria Nun eilt herbei from The Merry Wives of Windsor by Otto Nicolai. This is based on the Shakespeare play of the same name, and it is a Singspiel, which is, this is your opera definition of the evening. A Singspiel is very much like a musical, like a Broadway musical, in which there are musical numbers and spoken dialogue, but of course it is in German. So in this opera, the gentleman Falstaff is trying to seduce two different ladies, Frau Fluth and Frau Reich, but they're friends, and so they compared letters, they know about it. They're like, I can't believe this guy is doing this. So they hatch a plan to get revenge, and in this particular aria, Frau Fluth is singing about how she's going to trick and play games with Falstaff. We've got some fun coloratura in this. We've got plenty of high notes. If you already finished your drink with the Queen of the Night aria, you may want to get another one for this one. So we're going to welcome back Samantha for her last piece, and we also want to wish her toi 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 because she is also competing in the next round of the Met auditions next weekend. So welcome back Samantha singing Nun eilt herbei.
Nun eilt herbei, Witz, heitrer Lohne, der tollsten Schwänke, Witz und Übermut. Nicht sei zu arg, wenn's dazu diene, die Männer ohne Erbarmen zu bestrafen. Das ist ein Volk, so schwach sind sie, dass man sie gar genug nicht quälen kann. Vor allem jener dicke Schlemmer, der uns verführen will. Soll es wissen, doch wenn kommt, werd ich mich benehmen müssen. Was werd ich sagen? Halt, ich weiß es schon. Warum stellt ihr so den tugendsamen Gott hinauf? Warum? Den Frevel sollte ich lieber sein, nein, nie, mein Schorn ist eure Strafe sein, ist eure Strafe sein. Jedoch des Weibes Herz ist schwach, ist schwach, den Gott so rührt eure Pein. Ihr seufzt, mein Herz wird weich, nicht länger kann ich grausam sein, und ich gesteh's, Schamrot euch ein, und ich gesteh's, Schamrot euch ein, mein Ritter, ach, ach, ich liebe euch. Ich liebe euch. Ich liebe euch. Wird mir glauben, verstehen kann ich nicht für wahr. Ein kühnes Wagstück ist es zwar, allein den Spaß darf man nicht schon mehr loben. Den Spaß darf man sich schon erlauben. Allein den Spaß darf man sich schon erlauben. Sinn und Laune wird in das Leben und so vergehen. Hier soll ein Scherz, so zum Vergnügen darf man schon lügen. Bleibt nur voll Liebe, voll Treue das Herz. Bleibt nur voll Treue und Liebe das Herz. Ja, 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 ja. Drum wollen Frauen wagen die Tat. Lustige Frauen, ja, sie wissen sie grad. Ja, sie wissen sie grad. Sie wissen, schauen Rat. Drum auf Vertrauen, wag ich die Tat. Ja, wag ich die Tat. Ja, lustige Frauen, sie wissen sie grad. Drum wag ich die Tat. Ja.
Cheers! Thank you, Samantha, and thank you to all of you at home for tuning in to our very first live stream of 2021. We are so grateful for your support that has allowed us to plan a fantastic season of shows and to be able to employ musicians during COVID tide, many of whom remain unemployed. It is a lot of fun to get dressed up and sing in our living rooms, if that's the only option we have. We definitely miss getting to sing in bars. I miss getting to run around with the opera hat, and as soon as it is safe to do so, we will be doing that. But we are glad that we have been able to provide online streaming live for free during COVID, and we will continue to do that until it is safe. If you enjoyed tonight's show and would like to help make Opera on Tap possible, you may do so on PayPal or Venmo at Opera on Tap. We'll post the links again in the Facebook chat. If you're interested in making a larger gift, I will remind you that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means that your gift to us is tax deductible. So if you're interested in doing that, or maybe even sponsoring a show, we would love to have you as our sugar parent. So please feel free to reach out to us on one of our social media channels or email houston@operaontap.com. Speaking of social media, if you want to keep up with us and know when all of our upcoming shows are, you can follow us at OOT Houston on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And make sure you mark your calendars for our February show, which is another anti-Valentine's, one of my favorite themes. You know, we have all these wonderful love songs in operas, but we also have the not so love songs, and we'll be bringing you some of those that evening. It will be Friday, February 19th at 8 p.m. Central, coming to an interweb near you. A special thanks again to our 4 performers this evening, Krista, Karin, Samantha, and James. And thanks again to all of you at home. I'm giving you my best Great Gatsby here with my coupe glass. Cheers, and we'll see you in February. Have a good night.